America, this is Mark A back in effect. Mark A stay in effect. Mark A will always be in effect.
Life is a bus, so the service a must. They make you turn up your phone before you get off the bus and make you wanna go home, dog. There's nowhere to run, so you must sleep through day 0 to get to day 1. And 9 weeks later,
what's up, America? This is Mark A back in effect, stay in effect, and always will be in effect. And yo, I want you guys to know today's show is with Traci House, Staff Sergeant retired Traci House. Okay, but I want to let you guys know for the last month, right? I got on to another project. Okay. I always tell my soldiers that, my name was first Sergeant Reed, Mark Reed, right? But I had a public school system 106 that basically is, 106 is, for the less fortunate kids that are not too smart, right? So guess what? I started learning how to read. And this is the book I started reading, Early Medieval Paintings, okay? I'm down with that type of stuff. It's good stuff. But let's back to the show. Staff Sergeant retired Traci House, okay? Very unique kind of story. Very unique kind of story. Okay, she was a 92 Golf, which is a cook, and then she is actually retired as a, you say it.
42 Romeo.
42 Romeo. Those don't know what a 42 Romeo is. It is what?
Musician.
A musician, a singer. Okay, Traci, I'm so happy that you allow me to have this conversation with you so you can give, so you can tell your story. As you know, I'm always taking a little sip. We got some Glenlivet, 14-year-old version. And she has je ne sais for those whiners out there, winos or whiners out there, you know what I mean? So heads up, cheers. Okay, so Trace, tell me where it all began. Tell the audience where it all began.
So my career began back in May of 2000. Actually, May 5th is when I left home, my home in McBee, South Carolina, and I shipped off to basic training, Fort Jackson. And left home, and I began the start of my career. And at that time, I did not think that I would be starting a 20-year career. But I actually, I have 22 years of service, but I did 20 years active in the Army. I also had a break in service.
Okay. So what made, so when you came in, what, for 3 years or 2 years?
My first contract was for 3 years.
Okay, and then you got out.
I got out. Actually, my first contract actually, I think I did about 2 years and like 9 months actually. Okay. And then I got out. Okay. Yes. And you got out, what you doing when you got out? When I got out the first time, I took a contract and I went overseas actually, and I worked for KBR. Okay, how was that? It was awesome. That was an opportunity of a lifetime actually. I was in my early 20s, making ching-ching. Ching-ching. Yes. Yeah. That was a great opportunity. And then now what made you decide to come back in? I had a young son. I was a young mother. I became a mother at the age of 17, totally unexpected. A great responsibility. Becoming a mother is a beautiful thing, but when you become a mother, when you're a child yourself, you have a choice to make. You either are going to continue to be a child, or you're going to step up and become a woman. And so I decided that this child deserves a chance, and I can definitely take much better care of him if I have benefits, if I can give him, the life that my mother gave me. My mother worked very hard, and with the help of my grandmother and my aunts and my uncles, I had a wonderful childhood. And so I was able to give my son a lot of the same things, with the village and the help of my career. I think I did a pretty good job.
You did a damn job. and later on, you got audience who will get to meet Donovan. Okay, you guys, he's coming in. He's gonna be coming in. He's just coming from out of town, but he's gonna be coming in on the show as well. And I have him tell his story on and what's he doing now and what he did while his mom was away in deployments and stuff like that. Right. Mm-hmm. So now you came back in. So you came back in with the same MOS that you left as, or?
Yes, I did. When I came back in, I did come back in as a 9-2 golf, mm-hmm. and I actually held that MOS and the positions that came along with that MOS for 12 years in the Army. Okay. However, I ventured into the 42 Romeo field a little sooner than that. Mm-hmm. And when I went to Germany, I OJT'd as a vocalist. Okay. And I started working in that field, but I changed my MOS to 42 Romeo at 12 years in the Army. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so when you changed it like that, was that your passion all along?
Absolutely. I started singing when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
Yes.
D. Brooks, you hear that?
I hear you.
Now, audience, my co-host, it's my fault. My co-host is my man, my mentor, BTR, D. Brooklyn. Okay, he's also here as well. You know what I mean? On Zoom in. All right. I'm sorry. Continue on.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Started singing when I was 3 years old. So while stationed at Fort Bragg, most of my career I spent at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And I was there singing at a spring formal. So after I sang the national anthem, I was approached by the 82nd Airborne Division bandmaster at that time. This was in 2011, 2011. And the bandmaster said to me, he said, "Hey, have you ever thought about joining the band?" And I said, "The band? The Army has a band?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm the bandmaster for the 82nd. He said, "You should really think about auditioning for the band." And I said, "Well, I'm on assignment to Germany." He said, "That's great. When you get there, look up the band, reach out to the band and, see if you can audition." Oh. And so I did that. And I became a part of the USOR band and chorus. And while there, I toured all over Europe, and it was, really one of the best things that ever happened to me. Okay. And when I got ready to come back to the States, I went straight to the 3rd ID band at Fort Stewart, Georgia. And there I officially OJT'd as a vocalist. And then from there, I went on to the School of Music in Little Creek, Virginia, and I became a vocalist.
That is what's up. And I will tell you, audience, okay, I'm going to tell you, America, she can blow. She can blow. Yeah. Okay, she can blow. I'm going to tell you that right now. She sang in my wedding. She sang in my wedding. I'm going to tell you she can blow. I'm telling you. And now that she's retired, those that are out there, look her up, all right? Look her up. I'm being honest. Look her up because you will not be, what's the word? What's the word, D. Brooklyn? You will not be what?
You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed.
No way.
Yeah, I've been taking a little bit more extra sips a little bit, but that's why my man. You know what I mean? But so Trace, so during that time when you was in, like, would you say like the mentors, like there was mentors like the bandmaster back in 82nd that told you to audition and you went ahead and auditioned. Mm-hmm. So was that the thing that kind of strived you to stay in, or was it just like, okay, you know what, I got to take care of my child, but I'm starting to love the Army or whatever?
Well, I have kind of, I've always loved the Army. And I think I know the thing that pointed me in the direction of the Army in the first place was my uncles. From a child, I had a lot of uncles, great uncles, and uncles that, were military men. But I have to start with the fact that I have one uncle in particular. I'm his namesake. I was named after him. He was a career soldier. I have another uncle who was also a career soldier. And they were the main reasons that I wanted to be a soldier in the first place. However, I never thought that I would make it a career.
Yeah.
But
Who does, right?
yeah, I just, like I said, I had a child at a young age. So I was always determined to be a good mother. The only thing that I didn't really like about the Army is that less than 2 years in the Army, I had to deploy. So, excuse me. So I had to leave my son. And then I was very determined to, because they were high ranking, I wanted to be a high ranking soldier. Yeah. So, I made rank very, very fast. I think I became an NCO with like 4 years, a little less than 4 years in the Army. But I will be the first to say that I'm very headstrong, and I always was very headstrong. And any of my previous leaders, they will tell you, oh, Sergeant Greg, she always had a mouth on her, hot-headed, So I never really got in like deep trouble, but I always had a mouth. Yeah. So my counseling packages were never very, very thick in a negative manner, but I kind of,
on the borderline.
Was always on the borderline of, being a little disrespectful, but never so much to the point where anything would stick. Yeah. But I've always been that person where I am going to go toe-to-toe with you, especially if it involved another soldier being mistreated, anything on the line of SHARP or NCO related. I'm always on the side of right. Yeah. And yeah. I did not, a lot of people don't like that. Yeah. When you have a person who's always going to be on the side of right. And so, a lot of times I, okay, you said what you said, but I said what I said. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. So I did all of the military schools, and I did all of the things, crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, but I never was so concerned about shining in the light. I didn't need all of that. It didn't take all of that for me, but if my soldiers got the accolades and all of that, that's enough for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm good with it or whatever, have you. And so I just, I've never so much been about, getting all the glory. So I made a decision just to stay in. I said, I'm going to stay in the Army. I did my goals, like I'm going to stay in the Army until my son graduates high school. Then it said, I'm going to stay in the Army until my son graduates college. So, and I did that. I completed the task. My son now has 1 semester left until he completes his master's degree, and I'm retiring. So I've done all of the things that I needed to do, to see, him through to get to, adulthood. And I'm good, with that. So I never really planned to stay in the Army to make it a career, but here I am.
Hey, it happens that way.
That's resiliency, right? People are resilient. Like, you know what? I have a goal. Yeah. This is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because of this, this, and this. And now it's done. Now it's time to go.
Yeah, it took a lot of resiliency because I will be honest, I myself grew tired of the Army a long time ago because I've had to endure a lot of trials and tribulations. When it came to, first of all, admitting to myself, I think I have PTSD. But I really don't.
Traci, you deployed?
Right, yeah.
How many times? Right. Okay, you got PTSD. I guess it's not even
yeah, but I kind of like wanted to like brush it underneath the rug and say, I'm good. I can keep going to work every day, and I don't have to put up this facade like, this is not really real. I see people that I know they have it, but I don't have it. I'm good. Yeah. So.
Hey, I will tell you, You know, I'm speaking from experience, okay? You know, and I'm speaking from experience, and I'm telling you, the audience as well. You know, if you believe that you have it, go get help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a perfect person candidate. I'm telling you honestly. I brushed it on the rug just like you did. You know, until the dude came, the therapist came and told me like you have PTSD, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like, what are you talking about? And it just basically like, oh snap, I'm like this, really? You know, so you do have it. You know what I mean? And I know that you are getting help. You know what I mean? And I know the support system is great. Right. You know, and it's a day at a time. It's just one day at a time. You know, that's all it is.
Well, as far as the mental health thing goes, as far as PTSD, whether you have it or you don't, the doctor's there to tell you what you need to, not what you want to hear. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. I applaud you as a single mother. We all know how the family care plan works in the Army. And it's a difficult spot, especially if you're thousands and thousands of miles away from family members, to be able to take care of your child if you're not married. When you take yourself out of the equation, such as the deployment, going to the field 45 days at a time or whatever, it takes a toll on a kid.
Yeah, because I'll bring it up. I don't know if he will, but I'll be honest, because he was honest with me, and this was like within the past. It hasn't been 2 years yet. Admitted to me that he had separation anxiety when he was smaller, and I had to, leave him and go away to NCO schools or deployments, and he had never told me that before. And here I am, he's in his 20s, and he's telling me this. And even though I know why I had to do it, and back then, I know that I didn't sit down and say, Donovan, mommy has to go away because I'm getting deployed, because, this is how I provide for you, or this is how I take care of us. It made me feel horrible. Because then I sat down and I thought about, other times, throughout my career, maybe like when I just wanted to go on a vacation, and I left him with my mom, or, there was just that guilt, that rose up inside of me. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe how I feel, or there's nothing that I can go back and do about all those times now. Or I wish that I had grown. I wish that I had been mature enough to know how to handle that then, like I know how to handle it now. I was a young mother, and now I understand, how my mother said to me then, mothering doesn't come with a book of instructions. Of instructions. You just have to figure it out as you go.
Every situation is different.
Yeah.
And I will say, as far as your son admitting that to you, takes a lot of courage. Because honestly, when I think of people leaving for deployment or anything, for schools, I think the family has it worse. Because as a soldier, what's going on. They don't know anything for what what you tell them.
Right.
So during your deployment, right? Like, did you what was like your job in deployments? Like your first deployment, what was your job when you were out there?
So my first deployment, I was cooking. I was mainly. It's funny because I was a specialist, but I was running basically one of the combat outposts
in
Ramadi.
Ramadi. Okay, like anybody that that's been in the military, Army and Marines, about Ramadi. What year was that?
2004.
2004. Now, okay, so now where were you stationed? First of all, let's go back there. Where were you stationed?
Korea, Camp Obi, Korea.
Okay, Camp Obi, Korea. Now, back in those days, let's do a little background on this, okay? Camp Obi, Korea. Like those that everybody know, like that's in the Army. Korea was like a safe zone, right? Like everybody go to Korea to party. You know you're not deploying because you're already overseas, right?
That's why a lot of people went to
That's
Korea.
why a lot of people went to Korea, right? You know, I know one of my partners. One of my partners, he's retired now. Jawaski Doucette. Okay, he deployed back to back to back. Like for Carson, he went and Fort Polk, right? Back to back to back. Like he would 1 year deployment, 6 months, he's ramping up and going back again. So he got orders to go to Korea. Gets to Korea, and guess what happens? They have orders to go deploy back to Iraq in Ramadi. Okay, Ramadi. Like that's one of the most dangerous spots during that time in Iraq. Now, what was your experience?
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. So
would you like to share a story? If you don't want to, you don't have to share it.
I will share a little bit of it.
Okay.
I mainly remember we got there around June. So one of the highlights of getting there while we were in Kuwait, you know, doing that little train up part of it.
Slaves.
Yeah.
North.
It was just that was, you know, that we thought that was hard.
Yeah.
You know, it was really hot there. So no, that wasn't June actually. That was around July, I think. So I just remember right, one of the highlights of that while leaving Korea, my son, I got a care package from my mom, and my son had sent me for Mother's Day. He had made like his handprints and like mommy, I love you, happy Mother's Day, and it's just colors.
That's what's up.
And a pillowcase, the same thing. So I took that with me, and I had it like in my chew, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep this because every day when I come back, you know, from work or wherever, I have this just to motivate me.
Absolutely.
And so then I just remember driving across the border from Kuwait to Iraq, and I remember that briefing, you know, shoot to kill. You know, we're gonna put off the warning shots and everything like that. But if they're coming towards you, shoot to kill. And I'm like,
it's every 15 months the ROE changes.
Right. And
so I was there at the beginning.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, they said even if it's kids and I was like, what? You know, this is my first deployment. I'm new to the Army, you know, I hadn't even been in the Army 2 years or whatever. And I was just like, this is crazy. I don't, you know. And so when we got to Iraq, it was, you know, it was dirty. It was just rockets going off, you know, every 15 minutes it seemed. And just one day, while a buddy and I were on the way to the dining facility to go to work, you just hear this loud whistling noise, and boom, the DFAC blows up, shrapnel hits the vehicles and everything, bodies flying in the air everywhere. And so that was my first experience with an explosion. And I'm just thankful to be alive. But I know several people who were injured, you know, in that attack. And it was one of the scariest moments of my life, if not the scariest. But that was my first deployment. And honestly, after that, I made the decision to get out of the Army because my thought was, you know, I didn't really know what to think, but after that, after 9/11 is when I came back in the Army. Because I felt like now I know what it really means, you know, to be a soldier and to want to soldier and to really want to take care of soldiers and to be there for soldiers and to help make strong men and women, you know? And I've seen a lot more since then, you know, and I've witnessed and been in the midst of a lot more. So my second deployment was a different type. My second deployment, I was stationed at Camp Kit, which it was closer to the Jordan border.
Okay, that's over there by Caldwell. Okay, Caldwell, up that area by Gay, Caldwell. Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah, it's way out west.
Yeah.
And that time I was stationed out of Fort Stewart.
Don't face soldier.
So I've gotten I've experienced quite a bit, you know, during my deployments, and I learned more about, you know, being a good leader and leading soldiers into battle, because that time I didn't really know anything. I didn't really know how to react under fire or in the face of that type of adversity and fear, because I froze.
Yeah.
You know, and my second deployment, it taught me a lot more, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still was afraid, you know. I felt like maybe I wouldn't, you know, see my son and my family again. But again, I'm here today.
What is, in your opinion, like, what is it like? You know, you said that, you know, you was afraid. Like the first one, obviously, you seen something that was like, you know, like a life, life before your eyes type thing. You know, a significant event, right? And then you went back again, and you said you was afraid. What in your opinion, what do you think we, as far as retirees right now, or the ones that are in right now, what is it that you feel that they have that they continue on persevering and having the resilience to do that, in your opinion?
Say that one more time.
Number one, I know number one, you have to go, right? First of all, you have to go, right? But what do you think with a soldier, what do you think is in them to go ahead and do it? You know what I mean? Like, well, okay, we're here now, so we have to get it done. Is it like resiliency? Is it like, no, you know, we're gonna do this, or what? Like, what do you think? Do you think it's like some sort of like courage, like courageous?
Well, I think in that moment, it's definitely, number one, some amount of adrenaline, and then it has to be some type of resiliency and courage. I think a little bit of all three.
You think it's a learned behavior, or is it something that you taught, or is it in you?
To some extent, it's taught. Most
that's through training.
Through training, yeah, because you train for it. But from my experience, from what I just told you, courage. Because, like I told you, for me, I can only speak for me.
Yeah, in your opinion, yeah.
When it first happened, my first deployment, I froze. I was afraid. I was just like, I thought about my son and my family. I was just like, well, for one, I was knocked unconscious. But when I came to, I was like, I gotta go home. You know, like,
yeah.
I'm I'm a mother. Like,
Yeah.
I have a child.
Yeah.
There is someone in my life more important than me.
Yes.
It's my son.
Preach.
Absolutely.
You know, because, you know, like I said, when I wanted to be a soldier like my uncles.
Yeah.
That is why I joined the military. I wanted to make them proud.
Yes. And you got it.
And in that time, it was like I wasn't like I want to make my uncles proud.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something to make someone else proud.
Yeah.
Of course, I wanted to make my son proud. I wanted my mother to be proud. I wanted to do that for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't really thinking about war.
Nobody was.
Who does?
When they deployed and when they went to war, I was small. I didn't know about Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they fought in those wars.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I was older. And I didn't know serious and what they went through to get back to their children and their wives and the rest of my family, myself, you know. But you know, when I woke up and on November 8th, 2004,
next month,
I was just like, I want to raise my son. I don't want my son to just have a motherless child. I don't want that for him. So, you know, but when I came home and, you know, then when I went overseas again and I was making all of that money. So there was another event. I was running a dining facility, right? And then in Kuwait is where I was working, and my dining facility closed, and I didn't have a choice as to where they were going to send me. They wanted to send me to Mosul, right? And I said to myself, there is no way in hell, excuse me,
It's all good.
I'm going and work as a civilian in Mosul, and I just left Iraq as a soldier with the M16. And all this gear and no, I don't know how much they're paying me to do that.
This is KBR stuff. Yeah, it's different. You don't go over there with a weapon. Who's gonna protect you?
Not to run a dining facility.
Yeah. And what's the first thing to get hit? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yep. Them truck drivers, when we was coming for logistics patrols in Iraq, them truck drivers was making all that money but had no weapons. I was like,
yeah. So I was like, I prayed about it and I was just like, okay, whatever. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back in the army. I have to do what's best for me. And I think, there's a better way for me to be me. And I just decided, I'll demobilize and, I'll come back and I'll see if I have the opportunity, to come back and be, to soldier. And so I did, and I came back, I think, and I went back to the recruiting station. And the recruiters was like, absolutely, you can come back in the military. And I was like, okay, sounds great. And I came back in, and the unit that I went to was actually deploying.
You can't get away from it.
No.
You couldn't get away from it.
But here's the thing. I was like, okay, I'm okay with deploying. Well, guess what? They said, no, we don't want you to deploy. We want you to run a dining facility. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. You want to pay, but you don't want to pay. Like,
so I was like, okay, So I actually didn't get to deploy for 3 more years. For 3 more years. And then
that's in between that time, that's when you got going on with what you call it,
No, that's
that
not,
wasn't
that wasn't,
okay.
it wasn't, that wasn't until 2012.
That was
Yeah,
2012.
11 is when I'm paying attention.
I always believe like there's a purpose for something, you know what I mean? Like there's always a purpose for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and that might have been a purpose, you know, like, you know, somewhere along that line.
Yeah, so
What years did, or years have you deployed as a soldier?
so I went to IF 3 and 5. So 2004
Mhm.
and then 2008.
Okay, because 2009 to 2013.
Well, 2009.
Yeah, 2009 to 2013, things were getting ugly, and a lot of people got hurt that shouldn't have, and a lot of stupid things were happening.
In both my units, actually, because with the 3rd ID deployment, that was a 13-month deployment.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so a lot of units from 2-7 infantry, like 3rd Brigade, 1st Brigade, yeah, a lot of soldiers died.
Mhm.
And especially in that deployment from Korea.
Yes.
Mm.
I'm
217 infantry.
217, yep.
Yeah.
A lot of my brothers, field artillerymen, you know, they went down there and that same year.
Yeah,
and they actually know, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, old meter, Edwards, James Earl Edwards.
Mhm.
Where you at, James Earl? I don't know where you at now, but James Earl. You know what I mean? And Jawaski Lucet. Where you at, Jawaski? You know,